Bandwidth for this podcast is brought to you by Ideate Software. Be sure to check out all of their great Revit applications designed to increase your productivity. Welcome to another BIM Thoughts. You thought I was going to do that deep voice again, didn't you? We are here with Buck Davis from BIMBOX. We had Buck on before, and the fantastic Dana Del Philippi. And then we have the Storm himself, Carl Storms, is here as well, where this reincarnation of BIM Thoughts would not be possible without Carl. So make sure when you see Carl, you thank him for bringing BIM Thoughts back to life. So Buck, we were going to start with the name game, but I don't think it's going to work with your name very well.
No, probably not. I used to have fun on the playground with it, right?
I bet. So, since we all change for the better, redefine yourself for us.
Redefining myself. I know I was on 2 years ago. So flash forward, I have gotten married. I am vegan. Don't drink anymore. So the only corona I will have now will be the virus if I get it, which I am panicked about right now. BIMBOX has grown considerably. We are now kind of mass producing these things. And in San Diego, I don't think I was in San Diego when we last talked. I think I was still in South Florida. So East Coast to West Coast, and still living the dream, man. I'm glad to be back on. I think this is probably one of my favorite podcasts we've done. You and Carl and Dana. And Dana, I love that you're not a Mac person. I'm not a Mac person either. My wife is, and I still don't understand how they can sell systems with that inadequate hardware for that much money. It's admirable, but I hope one day, I don't know. I'm not even gonna get out of there.
So I used to do the Mac until recently, where I'm now on the PC side, and because I don't want to pay the money for it, it is old hardware. The keyboards suck. It's not as virus protected as it used to be. It used to be that you wouldn't have to worry about it. But now I've read things where Microsoft is now safer to use than Mac, which is amazing. Who would have thought?
Well, I love hearing things like that because I feel like that's all the Apple users ever used to say.
Right.
Well, you can't get a virus on a Mac. You can't get a virus.
Oh yeah, you can.
No, you
can get a virus on a Mac. It's got its own coronavirus.
Well, something's not going to work once you get a software update. That's for sure.
Right, and don't get me started on the new version of Mac OS. OMG, is it?
Oh, please. I love hearing venting from Mac users. Please.
So my Mac now is sitting on the wall. I 3D printed out a thing to hold it up on the wall. It's a Mac Mini. And all it does now is share iTunes out to the Apple TV so we can watch the movies we paid for. Isn't that sad?
And the saddest part is that all of that is Apple proprietary. You've really, really just cornered yourself in there.
Well, there's ways of getting those movies unproprietaried and put them on.
I sure hope so, Bill.
On some other server, but I'm not going to worry about that because it seems to be working, and life is pretty good with that. So, but I have to tell you, Buck, about my new PC. You're going to be so excited with me. I just got it. I just got it in January.
Okay.
I have. You ready for this? You sitting down?
I'm sitting down.
Okay. I have an AMD now.
Okay.
I have a Ryzen 7 because I didn't want to spend the money for the 9. Should have got it anyway. The Ryzen 7 3800X, 64 GBs of RAM, PCI 4 solid state drive.
That's a good processor.
It hauls butt.
So I'm actually, up till about a month ago, I would have browbeat you for that. BIMBOX, we've never used AMD. I have actually had kind of like, I've had a horrible rub against AMD. We tried it about 2 or 3 years ago, and had nothing but issues. And about 3 months ago, we started that kind of dating with AMD again.
Uh-huh.
And we just released an AMD product. We're
Wow.
using the AMD Threadripper, but the Ryzen 7, that 3800X is awesome.
It's a
Um,
great processor.
but we have we're using the Threadripper 3. We're doing a
Mm-hmm.
24 core, 32 core, and a 64 core processors for our laser scanning and post process rendering. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man, we're modding them in true BIMBox fashion. It took us 2 months to figure out how to do the direct die process, where we actually take that AMD heat spreader off, which is a challenge with
Oh.
AMD. But we're getting them
Oh, were
really
you
fast.
delit it? Are you delitting them?
Yeah, we're the only people in the world right now that are delitting AMD processors, and
Well, then, and the YouTube people.
well, yeah. Let me just tell you, it took a lot of trial and error, and at about
Uh-huh.
$1,500 a processor, it's a very expensive trial and error process.
I,
My
I
business
bet.
partner, he was wearing thin, I think on like the eighth one.
Oh
He was
my
like,
gracious.
he's like, "Are we going to curb this?" And I was like, "Look, we're on to something. We're on. I promise you that they have." So the thing about AMD is they have tons of potential as long as
Uh-huh.
you keep them cool. But the problem is they get really really hot. I mean,
Yeah.
and so the 64 core with the DLID process, we can get running about 4.5 gigahertz, which
Wow.
I
That's
don't
a
think a
lot of
lot of people.
GHs.
Yeah.
GHCs.
Well, and if you think about that, Intel, to get anywhere near that number of cores, you have to get dual 28 core Xeons, which is about
Uh-huh.
$20,000 worth of CPUs. And
Yeah, it's a little bit more money.
AMD is $4,000. So there's a little bit
Yeah.
of a difference. So no, man, I love that. So you are a Ryzen guy.
I'm a Ryzen. I've risen to Ryzen. And I probably wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for the Ryzen 3.
Yep. No,
Yeah,
no.
it's a great processor. But if I were to do it over again, I would either step down to the 3700 or step up to the Ryzen 9.
Well, how about this is an option? Why don't you just call me next time and ask for a BIMBox?
I should have. I should
I,
have.
I mean, for you,
Shame
man.
on me.
I mean, I got a bunch of them sitting over here. We'd have gotten you one. I don't.
Ah, oh
That's
well,
option. That's option C next time. Just
that's
give me a
option
buzz.
C.
Yeah.
But it's great. I do a lot of video processing now because of my YouTube channel, Read the Factory Manual, that everyone should be subscribed to.
And that's something I actually just started putting out a lot of videos. And for
Yeah.
anyone that uses the Adobe suites or any kind of post process video,
Uh,
it
oh,
eats
I
up
know.
RAM and it takes up a ton of processing.
It does. So I'm with this new processor, I can um, export the edited video, in a quarter to a fifth the time that I
What
did on
GPU?
my i7.
Yeah.
I have a GTX 1080. I haven't upgraded that yet,
Nice.
but it's
Well,
still a good
1080
It's still a
Yeah.
good GPU. But
Yeah.
until Premiere or Camtasia actually uses it more than Premiere, the GPU,
Yep.
which is sad.
In all
It,
honesty, not a lot of the AEC programs we see really
uh-huh,
tap into the GPU that much. A lot of them say they do.
uh-huh.
And I mean, I'd say Lumion does. I'd say
Well, I was just
Enscape
gonna
does.
mention Lumion.
Well, Lumion. So, and we've done a
No,
lot of testing recently
uh-huh,
with different GPUs and different settings. Lumion with a 2080 Ti, if you do the max setting of everything, max frames, you'll see about 80% of a 2080 Ti run. So a 2080 Super is probably more than enough for everyone if you're maxing out settings on everything.
uh-huh.
Um, but not a lot of programs really tap out the GPU.
No, not in our world.
No.
Okay, I got a question for you on Lumion, and
Yeah.
then I'll let Dana and Carl ask their questions because
Yeah.
we have just been geeking out like we should be. And our listener, if you are with us this far, I am impressed. So, okay, Lumion.
Yes.
Is it better to have two GPUs or one GPU with a poop load of RAM and Dan Stein GPU it?
When you say Dan Stein GPU it, what do you mean by that?
NVIDIA 6000, the Quadro card.
Mm, so
Like 16 or whatever gigs of RAMs on it instead of the GTX that has 6 or 8.
So I know that that's going to be debatable. I would say first question to answer, one GPU and you want to get the better GPU. There are very few programs out there that optimize for dual GPU, and in fact, NVIDIA is getting away from that.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about it, software programs and a lot of them, like we talked to the guys at Moritz and them at Inscape, not many people have two GPUs, so not many software developers or software out there develop or optimize for that 1-2% people that have dual GPUs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as far as going for quadro cards, we don't do it at BIMBox, and really the reason being is quadro cards are physical replicas of GeForce cards. The
Right.
big difference is going to be a
The
quadro card.
resistance.
I would like to joke that if you want to turn a GeForce card into a quadro card, you underclock it by 200 megahertz, right?
Right.
So as far as with Lumion, we don't see the 2080 Ti, which has 11 gigabytes of RAM. I have
Mm-hmm.
not seen it tapped out of RAM.
Oh,
I
okay.
under any rendering with max settings, I have not seen over 11 gigabytes of RAM be used at any given time. That's using the max setting, max frames, max everything on Lumion. So going to 16 gigabytes of RAM, I haven't seen it. So what I'm saying is when you're rendering in Lumion with the highest setting, it's only rendering one frame at a time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So having more RAM doesn't make a difference at that point. The faster you're rendering makes you're rendering that scene faster. So I
Mm-hmm.
would say I'd go with the 2080 Ti or a Titan RTX over a Quadro card, and that would be my recommendation.
Does Lumion take advantage of a second card?
No,
It does not.
no,
Okay, so it's not SOI.
no.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah,
So our designers need to clean up their models and make them better so that they render faster.
yeah, and it kind of comes down. Well, and it's an interesting thing when we look at Quadro versus GeForce. I don't know if a lot of people know this. Really, the difference between them since they've been physical replicas has been the drivers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Recently, NVIDIA, well, we've always at Inbox, we said GeForce, GeForce, GeForce. Don't worry about Quadros. Recently, about 6 months ago, NVIDIA released what's called the Studio drivers. I'm not sure if y'all have seen this. The Studio drivers opened up a lot of the Quadro functionality for the consumer GeForce cards. Some of the things that have been locked out, which really made a big impact, was the 16-bit graphics. Excuse me, 16-bit color was all you could get on a consumer card. Now you get 30-bit colors. So instead of
Mm-hmm.
16 million shades of color, now you get up to 1 billion shades of color on a GeForce card. That might not seem like a big deal, but when you're trying to do photorealistic images, it's a huge deal, right? You get so many more shades, so you can actually get that photorealism. That's been a huge difference. That's what made forced a lot of people to have to go to a Quadro card.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's available in the GeForce card. So if you've kind of been on the fence and thought you had to go to a Quadro card, if you get a GeForce card and then you go in and download Studio drivers, you don't have to worry about updating all those gaming drivers. You just stay on your Studio drivers, and now they have support for Autodesk and Adobe products. So,
Mm-hmm.
we kind of see that at BIMBox is validating what we've been saying for the past 4 years. Get a GeForce card, have a higher clock speed. You don't need all that RAM, and you get a better experience. So that's kind of where we come from. And to be honest, we've done it built. I think it built in St. Louis. We had a Titan XP versus a P6000, and the Titan XP beat it in every side by side benchmark we did. So that's kind of where we stand, and I think that just comes from cost. If cost wasn't an option, right? If you have two cards and you get to pick one, it doesn't matter what they cost. We go with the RTX consumer cards every day.
I would agree. Dana, I'm sure you are chomping at the bit to ask a question.
I have to tell you, as like nerdy as I like to consider myself, I'm not really the hardware girl. I'm just not.
Really?
Like, yes, I'm anti-Apple and I know how to work my PC and my phone really, really well, but that's probably because I had internet in elementary school, right? Like I'm well adept to interfaces, I would say. I'm more of the interface type. That's why I've been able to master Revit so well and now get into the API. But yeah,
Let me throw some questions back at y'all. We've got some pretty cool stuff going on in the news recently, and I want to get. Let me throw some questions with y'all. So recently, we've seen some things like Daiquiri with their headset kind of fold. We saw, Magic Leap's trying to kind of sell out, which looks like they're kind of going under. AR seems to be kind of on the rocks. What does that kind of mean for our industry? I
what do
know
you
that
mean
VR.
AR is on the rocks?
Let me throw this out here. Daiquiri, the headset was the AR headset for construction, $300 million, and they're going bankrupt or they're folding. Magic Leap 2.6 billion is now looking to be sold, and they've actually never had a product really come to market. HoloLens, which has really had no mass adoption, is really not doing anything. I mean, as far as AR for any mass production use, it's not really there. I mean, I think we look at that for construction a lot, and I think Trimble has a product out now.
Yeah, I was about to say.
That's kind of a cool thing, but are we seeing any of that have any impact or adoption in the market space? And I'm asking y'all because I used to be on projects, and I used to be in the field, and I used to be on that, but y'all seeing any of that stuff actually happen?
Well, Dan Stein loves his Trimble.
Yeah, he does.
That's that.
And Trimble is kind of taking over a lot of things, right? I mean, they bought
Right.
SketchUp, they bought, they're teaming with a lot of things in this.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Yeah.
would really beg to differ from the production side of things. AR is really taking off. We're seeing it
Yeah.
everywhere. VR, AR, both really are really changing the way we work daily as designers, engineers, construction, all of it. Owners want to see crazy renditions before they even, sell their projects or give away their projects, to, you know, to ensure that they're going to really like the space. And because they know of this type of technology, they're expecting it.
Awesome. So what are your favorite programs in that space? Yeah, I'm kind of leading into this. I had a feeling that was going to be the answer. See, I've done questions before. So, what are your favorite? You like Twin Motion, Inkscape? What are your favorite? Fuser? What's your favorite medium?
I will say that I'm not part of our visualization team at Smith Group. I am the
Okay.
computation and digital delivery chick. However, our teams really like to use, like, Bill was saying, Lumion. We use a lot of Enscape. We're doing a lot of really, really cool things. Twin Motion. We're creating fly throughs in Enscape, and we're utilizing Ulio for conference style AR presentations where multiple people can collaborate within a space. I mean, it's we have a AR VR setup within every single one of our Smith Group offices within the lobbies.
Mm-hmm. And so
Um,
do we.
and I think that's becoming very common. People are becoming really, I mean, I think Dan Stein was telling us that they have, like, it seemed what was like a 1 or 2 hour setup when they go to their client offices to do these types of presentations, because they're bringing their big boxes, they're bringing they're not bringing their Alienwares or their little gaming laptops. They're actually bringing the big guy computer with all the different setups for the sensors and, all the different things. I mean, and when you start to see the different types of software used for, I mean, they're creating the wireless backpacks, and wireless, all different types of things that are really, really cool. I don't want this to become an AR VR discussion. I think point clouds are also a huge
Right.
aspect of what we utilize our computers for in terms of space and RAM and graphics cards, right? I mean, those types of things are becoming used every day and every single type of project we have, whether it's new construction, existing construction.
right. And I think the new bottleneck that's coming up now is bandwidth, because with A360 or BIM 360 or whatever the other 348 products are, um, we're starting to use that now instead of Revit Server to do our models. So bandwidth is becoming a big issue, and looking at 10 gigabit for to the desktop is becoming in vogue now as well.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, in a lot of cases, we're passing around the external hard drive.
Yeah, we're going back to SneakerNet, aren't we?
It's funny you said that. We are standardizing on 10 gigabit LAN on all our systems, and that's been one of the things we're actually releasing this year. Is we have an external NVMe drive, USB Type C, as far as passing around that external drive to be able to get data moved from one to the other. We actually have some clients that, and it's funny you brought that up. We have some clients that are doing a lot of laser scanning, and it's funny when you say the bandwidth. Um, we have a client that's doing laser scanning in a project in LA, and one of the VDC guys in Chicago said, "Can you believe it? They actually take the drives out of the computer, FedEx them to the office in Bethesda, load them up on the server, and then send the drives back so they can continue to do that." And I was like, yeah, there's not a great way to send 80 terabytes of data right now.
Right,
Dropbox doesn't do that well. um so I think right now, moving data, massive amounts of data, and working with big data like that, I think, Dana, you and Bill hit the nail on the head. And I think some of the things that y'all said, and I didn't want to do, I kind of want to spark discussion to get kind of what y'all are feeling in the industry, spot on. It seems that there's more of an adoption of a lot of this stuff that was coming out a couple years back. VR kind of came out, and it seems like it was people were trying to do it on a laptop, or they didn't really know how to get a setup. And I think spot on what Dan's doing is taking time to go to a client office and set up and actually give that full presentation on the system with it, with the headset, with the sensor set up, and laser scanning actually being a standard operating procedure, right? Instead of being like, well, are we going to do laser scanning? Or are we not going to do laser scanning? Or do we need to do it at this point in time, or do we not? It's kind of, we're doing laser scanning as part of our SOP, right? Um, so I think that is, it's great to hear, and that's kind of what I'm not in the industry as much on the production side. I'm kind of on the tech support side as far as providing hardware for these workflows. But I think spot on that bandwidth, file size, and processing of all this data is kind of what we're hearing, especially on the software side. I don't know if y'all have been kind of hearing this from the software engineers, but from the point cloud side, from Leica to Faro to everybody has gone back and redone their algorithms as far as registering point clouds. All the new laser scanners create 4 to 5 times about the amount of data the old scanners used to create, with the exception of the BLK. And the old algorithms that were 1 or 2 core processing just creep to a crawl. So
hmm
all of them went back to the drawing board to leverage all this hardware. So they optimize now for 32 and 64 core processors to tackle this. So it's been kind of interesting to see software companies going back to the drawing board to start leveraging more of these high performance systems. So it's really cool time, and seeing people actually do this. It's kind of cool. Dan's actually taking desktops. I hadn't heard that, but that's awesome that he's doing that.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that either. It seems extravagant, but awesome. Like you're saying, he's, really giving them the full experience. And I think that that's the key point, that we, really can do that with some of the machines like BIMBox.
So Dana, what are you seeing on your spectrum? What's cool coming out? What you're working on?
Well, I do a lot of computation things. So I definitely have some scripts that run on my computer for a few minutes, right? Some, Dynamo tasks and other things that, would be really wonderful if Revit could even keep up, would be great. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot of migration to BIM 360. A lot of automation processes, like we've talked about a few times now, Bill, right? In these BIM thoughts, is Dynamo's kind of
Right.
pulling up old hat. We're integrating some Rhino inside, so doing some heavy computing, generative design, getting into some refinery, um, those types of things is at least from my purview.
So Dana, I have to ask, what kind of what computer are you working on right now?
I have a ThinkPad, and I actually am embarrassed to say that I had to get the old loaner because I broke mine,
Oof.
and it's a P50.
Oh,
But next month I'm up for a new laptop, and I believe I'm gonna get the new, was it X1, the new skinny ThinkPad.
if
Hmm.
only you knew someone who had really high performance laptops
Right. Only.
If only.
that could give you a really good hookup on like a 9900K, like monster 15-inch slim, Anyhow, we'll catch up after the show.
Absolutely, we will.
I'd love for you to use one. No, but I think it's interesting what you said, and I think I kind of want to touch on because we're talking about BIM. We get a lot of people that talk to me about, Autodesk and Revit, and it's only single core. It really is a few cores, and I think we get a lot of people that gripe that, why is it only a single core, and Autodesk really needs to touch on that. And I wanted, I talk to people a lot about that, and I think there are a couple different ways to look at it. One, just from the business standpoint of Autodesk, the amount of money it would take to go back and like rewrite Revit to be parallel if they could, right? So much of it is if you change a window, that window is attached to a wall, that wall is attached to, the floor, all the different things, the cascading things that have to be checked and validated, anytime you make a change to a family, if they could do it, right? If they could, how many people would be like, how many people are sitting on the fence right now? Like, if Revit was parallel, I'm going to go buy it, right? There aren't anybody sitting on the fence. If you need Revit, you have Revit right now, right? So,
Yeah,
so there's not a lot of people like waiting in the wings. Like when Revit goes parallel, I'm all in, right? So like
right.
they're not getting any more users. But having said that, if they did go parallel, right, instead of the $300 or $400 processor that you're looking at today, you're jumping to the 64 core, which is $4,000. So your $3,000 laptop just went to $7,000. I mean, now you're buying. Are you really excited about the $7,000 laptop? I mean, so there's the double edged sword there, and I think sometimes I explain that to people, and they're like, well, there gets to be, we try to look at juggling both sides of that. I think right now with Revit, with the hardware out there, you can get a really, really good experience. I would say some of the scripting that you're doing, it there's so many iterations that when you hit Revit's engine and it's just single core, it does slow down a little bit. Having said that, I'd love for you to give me the opportunity to send you a demo system just because I think you'd love it. I know that there's corporate things and y'all probably have a deal with somebody, but still would love for you to put it through its paces. But that's kind of where it comes down to the juggle. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. When it comes to Autodesk, and I think they try their best. I think Dynamo, Dynamo has been a huge, huge benefit, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. There were so many before Dynamo came out. There were so many people that were throwing, well, if Revit could only do this, and if only I could do this in Revit, and if only I could do this in Revit. And I'm sure that the Revit development team was just like pulling their hair out trying to play catch up. And then Dynamo came out, and like all of a sudden, everyone can kind of like tap into the API and get what they want done. And
That's the thing now, is that people are constantly sending me emails and coming to my desk like, can Dynamo do this? I want Dynamo to do this. I don't want to have a job tomorrow because Dynamo's gonna do it. Like literally wanting everything to be done in Dynamo, which is awesome. But like you said, it's rather than like, oh, I hate Revit because it doesn't do X. We're finding the power other ways to actually allow these performances to happen.
I feel like it's like when BIM first came around, everybody came like ran to the BIM manager, was like, "Can you do this?" And they were like the wizard of the office. And now like you're the dynamo person that's like, "Can you do this?" And you're like, "Of course I can." You know, like magic wand, everything is done. Well, Carl, I haven't heard anything from you, man. I gotta touch base.
I was just waiting for my time. But as we were having the discussions there, it came across the idea of working with point clouds. So we have these big portable drives because we have so much data we have to move back and forth. What are your thoughts on that idea of portable, but not the portable drive, your portable GPU? So, and a case in point, I had a kick-ass HP laptop. Yes, I know that that's a bit of an oxymoron, but great processor, great RAM, great all that stuff. But it had just the crappy out of the box GPU, and there was no way to put anything else. Like you couldn't fit anything else in there. That was the one piece that was preventing me from doing really cool stuff. So, do you think that that's a real viable option other than, as Bill says, the YouTube stuff where people are sort of getting their own enclosures and running it separately? Is that an option?
Okay, so I have two different things to say about that. And it's a great question. So it's a rub for me. Okay, so I twice a day I'll have a phone call with someone that says our 15-inch laptop, which weighs 7 pounds and has a 330-watt power brick because it has a 2080 desktop GPU in it, and it's 8.5 pounds with a power brick, is too heavy, and they want a 6.5 slim laptop, but they want an external graphics enclosure that weighs 4 pounds. So just to get back to your question, the external graphics cards are good. The only thing you have to get and make sure you have is you have enough power to it. You need these graphics cards are hungry for power. Typically you're going to need between 250 and 330 watts of power for a good graphics card. The next thing you're going to need is a Thunderbolt connection. It comes down to that graphics card being able to connect to your computer, to your laptop. Not all laptops are set up to have that kind of bandwidth in. A lot of times you only get an X4 connection through that Thunderbolt connection. So you're probably not getting full spectrum from that graphics card. That's the only thing I'd say on that. I would recommend, and this is kind of why we're looking at that. So if you want a slimmer laptop and then you're going to have an external enclosure with a graphics card, I would just say you're better off getting a slightly thicker laptop with the graphics card in it. If that kind of makes sense?
Carl, we tried the external GPUs, and you have to have the special cable, and the cable can't be more than 3 meters long. Once you get it longer than that, it doesn't work anymore. The other challenge is
Are you being serious, Bill?
Yeah, because in order to get the 10 gigabit you need out of that to talk to the GPU with any speed, which is the full of that USB 3 or USB-C bandwidth, it doesn't go that far. The timings start to screw up. The other challenge is you can't unplug the GPU while your computer is on. So you have to be real careful on that. And by the time you spend all the money and time, you might as well just buy a desktop for home and have a laptop to take with a light, small laptop to take around with you if you don't need the GPU on the go.
That's the next thing. So you have this kick-ass laptop, doesn't have the GPU, so you think, okay, let's go the portable GPU route. We've just heard lots of reasons why that might not be the answer. Well, why do you need that kick-ass GPU? Well, I want to do some AR, I want to do some VR, maybe do some scanning.
Right.
Then maybe the solution is we go talk to Buck and we get a kick-ass BIMBOX to sit at home and do everything we want. Great.
Right.
So then what if we're on the road? What our options for remote access? What if we go the remote access route? On the plane, I don't need the GPU. I don't need that. I need something that's small and light that I can open up and do PowerPoint or Word. But when I get to the site to do a client demo, I need the horsepower of that big laptop or that desktop. Are we still having that same issue with, you're saying, the 10 gigabyte connections, that we're not at a spot where we can have reliable conference room over guest Wi-Fi connection to a kick-ass BIMBox and get the performance remotely.
I see what you're saying. It's tough. So you're just looking for super slow. So that's tough to say. So that's one of the reasons, and we have to make a call. So there's companies that compete with our laptop. And just to let you know, I think when we spoke 2 years ago, our 15-inch laptop with the 2080 and the 9900K was around $4,800. We've done some things with our scale. It's about $3,000 right now. The difference between ours, that's about 1.5 inches thick, and our competitors, which is 1 inch thick, is the fans. So we put a little bit thicker fans in. They're a little bit more industrial. The reason we do that is because the difference between a 9900K that goes fast and a 9900K that goes slow is cooling. The only way that we can get our systems to go fast is by keeping them cool, and that requires airflow, right? So if you want the horsepower, you kind of have to make the decision of do you mind the extra 1/2 inch? And I'll tell you, when you're on the plane, if you don't have it plugged in, it doesn't pull as much power, just due to the fact that the computers know it's not plugged in, so it's not taxing. You're not running full speed on that graphics card. It's programmed not to do that. As far as, it's tough, Carl. I know what you're saying as far as being on the plane. I don't know. I would say having like a Surface Pro and then having a desktop is probably the best of both worlds. Being able to remote into your beast at home. I don't know. That's a tough situation.
But do we have that? Do we have that functionality? And I know Bill's had to go down this road as well, where you have that remote access that is,
well, you don't have
reliable.
GPU over remote desktop without.
Also true.
On a workstation.
There's also Autodesk limitations. Like you can't run Autodesk Recap Pro over remote. There are things like that you can't do. That's the one reason that we put a beefed up 15-inch in there, is for people that have to be mobile. They just have to deal with a 15-inch laptop. That's a beast. I mean, you just take it with you and you roll with a remote workstation, mobile workstation, and that's just, you take the power with you. And unfortunately, that's where it is right now. I know that everyone, and I've had this discussion with a ton of people. Everybody wants Surface Pro with the power of a workstation, and we'd love to make it for you.
And if you think about it, if you need that workstation for AR out on site, having an 8-pound laptop or whatever it is, it doesn't matter because you got all the other equipment as well. So we have beefed up laptops that we take on site for our AR things, and they're just for AR. We have a huge Pelican case that has all the equipment in it, including the laptop, and you take the case with you. You open it all up, all the stuff is there, including the tripods and things like that you need to get the sensors up high. That's all there ready to go. And for the plane, you take your normal laptop with you. Like I have a 13-inch laptop for the plane, because a 15-inch laptop, because I'm not as thin as I used to be. So I can't get a 15-inch laptop to work for me on the plane. It's too big. I need to go to a 13-inch laptop in order to actually do anything on the plane.
Well, and I think when people say 15-inch, most of these laptops, when you 15-inch laptop, a precision laptop, you're talking about a ThinkPad, they're all about the same size. I mean, a ZBook, I mean, they're all about the same size. So I don't know. I think laptops are tricky. I think one of the things that it's been a big misconception a couple years back, people started to kind of chime on that laptops were just as fast or just as powerful as desktops. And I think I said it last time I was on the show that the trend for mobile technology is less power, less hardware, and longer battery. And I think the trend for AEC hardware is more power, more hardware, And they're just going different routes, right? They're diverging from each other, and it's going to continue to be that way. I don't think you're going to see AECs not getting any less. I think you see that in VR, right? So if you look at playing a video game in VR, right? It's rendered out, looks seamless, but then you try to go to a big architectural scene in a, I don't know, Fuser or Inkscape. It takes a lot more horsepower to keep that, 60 frames per second or 120 frames per second than it does for the video game, right? It's because it just you're real time rendering it. It's not just streaming an image, right? So I think that's just the nature of the beast. It's going to take more for our industry continuously because we're having to do stuff spot on the scene, and it's just the nature of our industry. So I think as far as drives, though, just to drop a teaser for y'all, BIMBOX is going to we're releasing our own version of our own NVMe drives this year. So we will have external and internal NVMe drives. They will be faster than Samsung 970 and Pro drives, and we'll have up to 16 terabyte add-in cards, PCIe drives.
Wow, that's some speed and some storage, lots of storage. That's fast storage.
The only reason I dropped that, so right now I know we're jumping from laptops to this. I know that y'all said I had 2.3 gigabytes or terabytes on this computer. I have 3 drives and a computer over here that are 16 terabytes each. So I have a 48 terabyte RAID 0 boot drive on one of the computers in my office right now.
You are a brave man.
Come on, fast and wild, Bill.
So speaking of that, if the general person, and that doesn't include me because I'm going to contact Buck Davis, but if the general person wants to get a BIMBOX, do they contact ATG? Is that who they go through? It looks like that's the exclusive reseller of BIMBOX.
Yeah, so for the time being, yeah, they do. About 6 months ago, actually 8 months ago, I had to make a decision. I had a person approached me, who actually is the owner of ATG, and wanted to invest in my company. He became a partner with me, and we had to make a decision. Do we hire a bunch of salespeople, or do we kind of let them be the reseller? So they're the initial reseller. Right now, they're exclusive in North America. We do have 2 or 3 other partners we plan to bring on in North America over the next few months. But as of right now, reaching out to ATG, it made sense for us. I think, and it really was, and I think we can explain it makes sense. So if you have a problem right now in the AEC industry, it could be for your hardware or it could be from an Autodesk. A lot of times, you have a new update in Windows or you have a new Autodesk update. Something goes wrong, you have a blue screen. It could be Autodesk, it could be Windows, it could be hardware, right? Our BIMBOX clients contact our support line and they diagnose Autodesk, Windows, and hardware, right? One phone number, one support line to rule them all, which really makes it streamlined and we thought was a value add for our clients. So yeah, they reach out to ATG, same thing as always. And we really saw alignment, man. They have great customers, and it made sense for us to do that. So yeah, reach out to ATG, or you can always, if you're Dana and you want to talk to me, you can always shoot me an email, and I will send you a.
I mean, I can't contact, HP or Lenovo and get BIM services and CTC tools. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it seems like it's still in that realm of you're really kind of geared towards the AEC, right? Like I can buy a BIMBOX, but also help you guys can help me get all set up with the BIMBOX in terms of BIM and how it's best going to utilize me.
Yeah, and we stay close to our clients. I mean, we worked with Leica on their Infinity software to optimize. When I say we're AEC, I know there are a lot of companies out there. We even have competitors, BoxX and others that, kind of harp on being AEC. We worked with Leica algorithmic team on the terrestrial scanning to optimize their algorithms. We worked with the Infinity team out in Switzerland to optimize their algorithms. We even paired them with AMD to even further optimize their algorithms on the Threadripper processor. We work with the Inkscape team. I mean, we work with Clark Construction to create their own RFO benchmark, which will be releasing later this year. We really work with literally want to work with people in the field. Like we want to work with Dynamo specialists. Dana, if you have algorithms that you're trying to get or whatever you're trying to do, anytime we have a client call us with a problem, we want to solve it, because if they're dealing with it now, other people will be dealing with it later this year, right? Anyone that's pushing the limits of what they can do on their system right now, we partner with them and we make our systems better. I think that's one thing that we like to kind of harp on, is that we're really the leader of this stuff. I mean, I think we were the first people to ever say GeForce cards and recommend them. Now we kind of see everybody recommending GeForce cards finally. We were the first people to do all core clock speeds over 5.1 gigahertz. And now we're kind of seeing people all of a sudden advertising 5.1 as a boost clock speed. We're the only people that use high performance RAM. We're the only people that do direct die delitting. We're the only people mass producing with a full 3-year warranty. I mean, we're doing this because we understand that that's what the industry needs. You can't sell enterprise to, example, your company. Your company would not buy from a mom and pop shop that didn't have a full 3-year warranty, that couldn't offer next day on-site business support. I mean, it's just the nature of this industry. I worked for, a top 10 GC, global GC, and there were lots of people in Florida that built really cool systems with lights and fans and all this other stuff. But Balfour Beatty was not buying me a computer from, XYZ computer company, right? That's one of the things that we spent a lot of time on. And that's one of the things that, my new business partner brought to the table with a large investment and a lot of know-how, was how do we structure this company to be an enterprise level company that we could sell 1,000 systems a month, that we could support 1,000 systems a month. And, to be completely transparent, and this goes along with the coronavirus, you wouldn't think it, but getting 1,000 processors from Intel in any given month is a challenge.
Yes.
Getting 1,000 laptop chassis from China when a coronavirus outbreak happens is extremely challenging. The supply chain of computer components is extremely challenging. And one of the things that we did, we partnered with Ingram Micro. They're a $48 billion hardware system integrator. They're a giant. They completely have helped us with our supply chain. When things got tight the past few months, they were able to help us out. And that's just, it's been beautiful. It's been great. When a lot of people were jammed up and couldn't get components, we had, trays of processors. It was wonderful. So not to harp on that, but that's really been one of the strategic partnerships. ATG is a sales team, but that their owner is Scott Landers, has been one of my business partners for the past 8 months, and really has helped me take this company from being, $1 million or $2 million a year company to we're close to doing 10 million this year. So really, really happy with that. But ATG is the exclusive sales wing. Sorry for the long-winded explanation.
That's okay. Well, we are at 2 Aubins. Buck, where can people find you on these interwebs?
So I'm kind of challenging to find. You can find me at BIMBOX USA on Twitter, or you can get me at buck@bimboxusa.com.
Great. So Carl, Dana, Buck, thank you so much for joining me today on BIM Thoughts. And I've learned a lot. I hope that who's ever left has learned a lot in listening to this episode. We really geeked out. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
We had a great time. Thank you.